All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, so I want to go continue on in the book of Second Samuel, okay, the third chapter. All right, and this is going into the kingdom, being translated unto, all right, King David, the full kingdom, because he's already king in Hebron, all right, over his tribe, Judah, all right, and now, the kingdom, we're going to see the kingdom be translated, okay, fully unto King David, the whole kingdom, all right, and this is 2 Samuel 3 and 1. It says, that was the beginning, because you go into the second chapter, we see war, break out between the house of Saul and the house of David. The, they met in the pool. Some of men, some of King David's men, some of King Saul's men met at the pool. All right, and they had scuffle, and the scuffle turned into a full-out battle. All right, now you have ongoing war. All right, between these two houses. Okay, 2 Samuel 3 and 1. It said there was the beginning of a long war between those who were loyal to Saul and those loyal to David. As time passed, David became stronger and stronger, while Saul's dynasty became weaker and weaker, man. Okay, and this is what we're seeing happening now, man, as the Lord is strengthening the true house of David, all right, the body of Yahushua, which we sincerely believe, all right, starting with the apostle and elder of GMS, okay, and the true, affiliate camps, okay, associate camps that teach the truth and sincerity, that we are of that house, man. And one thing about it, the spirit, all right, is getting stronger, on brothers, starting with the apostle and elders on down. The spirit is getting stronger, brothers, are being more thorough, brothers are being more on fire, okay? Edification, is at an all time high, you know. Prophecy is at an all time high, man. So the house of David that has been raised up in this time, okay, has been raised up again. Matter of fact, let's get this in the book of Amos 9. Okay, the house is back and it's getting stronger. Okay, and everything else is getting weaker. Esau, Edom, 2/3. Okay, everything else is getting weaker. Not Psalms or Amos. Like this is the book of Amos, chapter 9. All right, in verse 8. Verse 11. It says, in that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. This is that day. This is that time. Okay. And it says, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. So in the spirit, okay, the house of David has been raised. Okay, those spirits that was back during the generation of David, those faithful Israelites, that was obedient unto Yahweh by Shema Al Shai, well, their generation is back. Okay, and it's getting stronger and stronger. All right, and it says the Saul's dynasty became weaker and weaker because he was being phased out. Just like everything is being phased out now in this time. Okay, everything outside of the hopeful elect, okay, which make up the house of David, is being phased out. Okay, because you go here to the book of Jeremiah. As people fight against us in the spirit. Because they was physically fighting then, all right? But people fight against us in the spirit. This is Jeremiah 15 and 20. It says, and I will make thee unto this people a fence, brazen wall, and they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail. For I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. Okay, so as people fight up against this truth, they're only getting weaker, man. The stance of a Christian is getting weaker. Okay, to the point we don't even know what their stance is anymore. Okay, the stance of Esau, Edom, and his wickedness and his attempt to try to pull off this new world order, these things are getting weaker, man. Okay, false Israelite camps, You know, they can't, because you can't continue to be a false prophet when true prophecy is happening, man. Okay, so they're getting weaker as true prophecy is taking hold in the earth. It's getting hard. It's getting harder to be a false prophet, man. It takes a lot of screening. You know, like Nate. You know, he's real clever in coming up with these makeshift breakdowns. Okay, but it's getting harder for him to do it because prophecy is speaking as he's trying to cover it up with false doctrine, man, with a false breakdown. Okay. Verse 21 it says, "And I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, Esau, Edom, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible," man. As we sing David, you know, King David constantly being delivered out of the power of Saul, King Saul. And then it's gonna be like that for us with the wicked, with Esau, Edom, man. The Lord's gonna constantly deliver us out of their hand, out of their power, man. You know? So the house of David, you know, has been revamped in the earth. Okay, and it's getting stronger, and everything else is getting weaker and weaker, man. Okay, well, let's go here to let's see, First Corinthians 1. Okay, 1:18 said, "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness." Okay, so as we preach this word and we're being strengthened by this word, you know, we're uh, being emboldened. All right, we're becoming more stable in the time of chaos. We're being stabilized. We're being rooted. Okay, to the rest of our people. All right, what's happening is, all right, the Lord is setting them up for failure, so they can't get it. Okay, so our people are becoming what, weaker and weaker, more degenerate and more degenerate, man. Just like the house of Saul is getting weaker and weaker, man. Okay, he said, "But unto us which are saved is the power of the Most High," man. So we're experiencing the power of the Most High through faith, man. We're seeing the Lord at work. You know, we're seeing the Lord working our day to day, and it's making us stronger, man. You know, and as we get stronger individually, by default, we're getting stronger collectively, man. You know, and here is this spiritual house. Okay, he said, "For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent." This is what we're seeing. And this goes all the way up to Esau, man. Okay? The wisdom of the wise is being dismantled, man. Esau is being made to look like a fool for even trying to pull this off, man. Like, you sit back and look what this devil is doing as we mature and understand it. You know, you sit back and look at this devil. He's looking foolish as hell to even try to pull this off, man. Okay? So we're watching the Lord destroy the wisdom of this world, man. He's dismantling this whole system, man. Okay? It says, let's go back. All right. To First Samuel. I saw like Second Samuel. Second Samuel. Second Samuel 3:2. It says, "These were the sons that were born to David in Hebron. The oldest Amnon, whose mother was Ahinoam from Jezreel. The second was Daniel, whose mother was Abigail, the widow of Nabal from Carmel. The third was Absalom, whose mother was Maacah, the daughter of Talmaiah, king of Geshur." You know, so she was a princess. It says the fourth was Adonijah, whose mother was Haggath. The fifth was Shephatiah, whose mother was Abital. The sixth was Ithream, whose mother was Eglah, David's wife. These, all right, sons were all born to David in Hebron. So hey, it's a dynasty now, man. You know, he's having sons, he's having wives, you know, as he was, you know, king, all right, in Hebron. Okay, so his dynasty, you know, is expanded. It says, "And the war between the house of Saul," and that's the reason of multiple women, you know, for legacy, to extend your legacy, man, to multiply yourself in the earth, man. You know, it's not just a freak off. No, is the main thing. All right, which by default, you know, sex comes with pleasure. Okay, but the underlying purpose, all right, for men, you know, to extend their legacies in the earth, man. Okay, and these legacies, all right, were meant to be in righteousness, man. Okay, It says, as the war between the house of Saul and the house of David went on, Abner became a powerful leader among those loyal to Saul. One day, Ishbosheth, Saul's son, accused Abner of sleeping with one of his father's concubines, a woman named Rizpah, daughter of Ai. Abner was furious. All right, so pretty much Saul's son Ishbosheth, you know, was speaking against Abner, for sleeping with, one of King Saul's concubines, which King Saul was dead, so she's no one's concubine now. Okay, so Abner, dealing with, one of King Saul's old concubine, which Abner he's holding the fort down. He's pretty much, has made, at least the house of Saul formidable. He's the structure of the house of Saul. Okay, Ishbosheth, he's just a guy, that's occupying the throne of King Saul, with his Abner, that's the muscle and the force behind the throne. Okay, so he confronts, Abner, okay, about this little chick, you see, and Abner was furious. He said, "Am I a Judean dog to be kicked around like this?" He shouted. "After all I have done for your father Saul and his family and friends by not handing you over to David, is this my reward that you find fault with me about this woman?" Okay, so Abner, had to check this nigga like, nigga, I'm out here day for day in the trenches. You in the palace laid up. I'm out here day for day in the trenches for you to be able to even be in this palace. All right? Like, I ain't hand you over to, King David, and I'm out here, for your family name, and you tripping about a goddamn woman. Okay? You see? And you can see Jake mad, Benjamin mad as hell, you know? So you know how Jake do. Hey, so Abner hit him with the, well, I tell you what, goddamn it. All right, verse 9. It says, may the Most High strike me and even kill me if I don't do everything I can to help David get what the Lord has promised him. All right. So Abner's like, well, I tell you what, goddamn, I'm gonna do you one better, cause you tripping about a goddamn woman. Okay? It says, I'm going to take Saul's kingdom and give it to David. I will establish the throne of David over Israel as well as Judah, all the way from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south. Ishbosheth didn't dare say another word because he was afraid of what Abner might do, man. Because he was infuriated, man. You know? You see, as a man, you put in all this work and you doing this on somebody else's behalf, and they try to handle you like, you know what I'm saying? You can feel him, so he was infuriated, and Ishbosheth set his ass up, man. Ishbosheth, all right, he shut his ass up, man. Okay, Abner, bowled up on his ass, and he set his ass down. All right, and Abner told him, "Look, I'm finna give King David everything. Okay, we ain't gonna have this problem no more." You see? But it was the spirit of the Lord working this out, man. All right. It says, then Abner sent messages to David saying, "Doesn't the entire land belong to you? Make a solemn pact with me, and I will help turn over all of Israel to you." "All right," David replied, "but I will not negotiate with you unless you bring back my wife, Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come." So the negotiation was contingent on King David getting his wife, all right, Michal, back. Okay, which King Saul gave to another man, which that was wicked, and that was adultery on the part of King Saul and the other guy, because they knew that she was married, all right, to David, all right, to King David. It said David then sent this message to Ishbosheth, Saul's son: "Give me back my wife Michal, for I bought her with the lives of 100 Philistines." So Ishbosheth took away Michal away from her husband Palti, son of Laish. Palti followed along behind her as far as Bahurim, weeping as he went. Then Abner told him, "Go back home, So Palti returned, man. All right. So Abner told that nigga scram. All right, get your weak ass out of here, man. Okay. We handling big business. Okay. Take your crown ass back to the house, man. It's over. Okay. It said, meanwhile, Abner had consulted with the elders of Israel for some time now. He told them, you have wanted to make David your king. Now is the time, for the Lord has said, I have chosen David to save my people Israel from the hands of the Philistines and from all their other enemies. Abner also spoke with the men of Benjamin. Then he went to Hebron to David, that all the people of Israel and Benjamin had agreed to support him. When Abner and 20 of his men came to Hebron, David entertained them with a great feast, man. King David, even though they was at war, all right, they came to an agreement like men. And David, being a man of honor, David showed a lot of, regal, noble character, man, and how he moved, And it says, then Abner said to David, let me go and call an assembly of Israel to support the Lord my king. Then they will make a covenant with you to make you their king, and you will rule over everything your heart desires. So David sent Abner safely on his way. Okay? So but just all right, and then here come Joab with the bullshit. All right, Joab, he be on the BS too, man. He was a great general. Let's say King David nephew, but he would be emotional and he will get out of pocket, man. It said, but just after David had sent Abner away in safety, Joab and some of David's troops returned from a raid, bringing much plunder with them. When Joab arrived, he was told that Abner had just been there visiting the king, all right, and had been sent away sent away in safety. So you had someone messy stirring things up. You know how Jake is, man. Jake wants to see some drama. So they told Joab, yeah, he just came to visit with the king, King David had a big feast for him, eating lamb, wine, laughing, and he sent them away in safety, So they hyped Joab. Somebody put booster cables on Joab, man. Goddamn Jake, man. It said Joab rushed to the king and demanded, what have you done? What do you mean by letting Abner get away? You know perfectly well that he came to spy on you and find out everything you're doing. Joab then left David, all right, and sent messengers to catch up with Abner, asking him to return. They found him at the well of Sarah and brought him back through David, all right, though David knew nothing about it. When Abner, all right, so now he's doing his own thing, without the consent of his king, okay, being willful. When Abner arrived back at Hebron, Joab took him aside at the gateway as if to speak with him privately. But then he stabbed Abner in the stomach and killed him in revenge for killing his brother Ashiel. Okay, so he stabbed him in that fifth rib, took him out. So pretty much, he killed Abner in revenge of his brother, man. Still emotional about that. Y'all was at war, man. All right, and Abner warned your brother, all right, a few times to chill, to fall back. Okay, your brother got himself killed. Okay, but Joab was in his feelings, man. Okay, he couldn't let it go. It says, when David heard about it, he declared, I vow by the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai that I and my kingdom are forever innocent of this crime against Abner, son of Ner. Joab and his family are the guilty ones. May the family of Joab be cursed in every generation with a man who has open sores of leprosy, or who walks on crutches, or dies by the sword, or begs for food. So he puts, curses, on Joab. Okay, and his family, his descendants, man. So Joab and his brother Abishai killed Abner because Abner had killed the brother Ashiel at the battle of Gibeon. Then David said to Joab and all those who were with him, tear your clothes and put on burlap, mourn for Abner, and the King David himself walked behind the procession, all right, to the grave. They buried Abner in Hebron, and the king and all the people wept at his graveside. Then the king sang this funeral song for Abner. Should Abner have died as fools die? Your hands were not bound, your feet were not chained, nor, I said, no, you were murdered, the victim of a wicked plot. And all the people wept, all right, wept again for Abner, So King David, is pretty much, he's made a song, a funeral song for Abner, and he like, look, you died a fool's death. He like, you wasn't bound, like you could have fought or something. You should have, you know, you shouldn't. You know the history, with Joab, and he's, one thing about it, everybody know Joab's character, So he like, Abner, you should have, been on, you should have been more circumspect. You should, you shouldn't have died like that, pretty much. And it said David had refused to eat anything on the day of the funeral, and now everyone begged him to eat. But David made a vow, saying, may the Most High strike me and even kill me if I eat anything before sundown. This pleased the people very much. In fact, everything the king did pleased them. So everyone in Judah and all Israel understood that David was not responsible for Abner's murder. Then King David's officials, all right, then King David said to his officials, don't you realize that a great commander has fallen, all right, today in Israel? And even though I am the anointed king, these two sons of Zariah, Joab, and Abishai are two, he says, yeah, and it says, and I am this day weak, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zariah, which it says, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according, all right, to his wickedness, man. Speaking of his nephews, man. You're like, these niggas here, man. Like these niggas here, man. All right. But yeah, that was the point. Just wanted to go into that 2 Samuel 3. All right, and yeah, chapter 3. And we're just going into the transition, of kingdoms. The kingdom is being transitioned, all right, into uh King David, all right, from Saul. Okay. And you got this here because the Lord, he's been to transition this kingdom, from Esau into Jacob, which the hopeful elect represent what? The house of David, so that the kingdom is going to be transferred to the house of David again. Sirach 10:4 said, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over one that is profitable, man. So at that time, it was profitable for King David, to be king. There was it was profitable to Israel. Israel flourished under it, and even going to the times of King Saul. King Solomon, King David's son. Okay. In verse 8, it said, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another, man. And that's from the house of Esau unto the house of Jacob, man. Okay. Well, Yahushua establishing the throne of David in the earth once again. Okay. And this is where we at, man. So the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. All right. And we in that time to where he's going to transition this thing from a wicked rulership to a righteous rulership. Okay. So Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time I say shalom.